Hi, today I'm doing a reading on Yogi Bhajan. He is a yoga instructor who taught Kundalini yoga, who has recently come into question of, is his style authentic? Does it come from where he says? Did he just make it up himself? Um, Also, there's a lot of questions about whether or not he abused a lot of women sexually, and there's just a lot of controversy about this guy. And there's a new book that came out. I can't remember the woman's name, but she claims to have been a victimized by him, and so I just thought it would be an interesting thing to look into. He's also someone who I've looked into a lot in the past, and I learned a lot of herbalism from someone who learned from him directly. So, you know, I always kind of thought he was a cool guy, but I never have really looked at it clairvoyantly. So this will be the first time I do that. So this will be interesting. So I'm curious to see what comes myself. So I'm going to go ahead and get into a state of meditation and say what comes up here. So the color that's coming up for me is this like royal purple color. Definitely has a sense of royalness to it, which is no surprise. So what's coming up for me is there's actually a lot more like toughness to him than I thought, like thorniness. It's almost like he has, see a picture of him with knee pads on because he's kind of expecting the fall. And most of the things I see are symbolic. Sometimes they're literal, but a lot of the times they're both too. Just so you understand, the way that I read is through images that I see that come to me. You could call them visions. So I see him playing, I see a picture of him playing like this roller skating game where he has these knee pads on. It's very rough, and he's trying to win. There's a lot of competition in here, and there's a little bit of like attacking people. I see him like hitting people with a stick to try and win this game, and it's like everybody really looks up to him, is what I'm getting, and he it's like even though he's way up there and everybody looks up to him, there's still this like edgy drive to get even further ahead, to be even better, and it's like he's definitely willing to attack people. There's like this viciousness to him that's coming up, and this extreme competition. Let's see, what is this about? I see him younger in life, meditating. It's like he's always praying. I see him as like praying to the sun. But it's like there's this drive, he wants more, and I see him looking to the side, and that's like he's contemplating how to like reach this higher level. It's like he's praying to this force outside of himself, and it's like he he feels disconnected, and in order for him to really connect with it, it's like he feels like he has to reach a higher level in hierarchy. It's like he can't just have it for himself internally. It's like he needs the external validation. And I see him looking around and like kind of scamming. It's almost like it's very heartfelt in the sense of it being the fourth chakra, and it's like it feeds off of that. And so he needs other people involved. So he needs to create like this group dynamic feeling, or this vibe from like a group dynamic is what's coming through. And that's kind of like what elevates him is this group like connection. So it's not like so much about him as it's about the other people he's around, but he gets elevated by being part of that group, but also he wants to become higher within the hierarchy. Let's see how this affects him. So when he becomes higher up in this hierarchy, he actually gets more humble, but there's also this sense of disappointment that shows up. And it's disappointment that it's not more than it is. And that's where this competitiveness is coming from, where he kind of lashes out a little bit at other people. I see him kind of mumbling to himself, like he talks to himself. Like other people are around, but it's like he's so in his own internal dialogue that he's like talking to himself and like mumbling to himself. It's almost like a mantra to himself, but it's his own words. Let's see, what is this about? What is he saying to himself? It's like he's telling himself what he needs to get done. It's like he's stuck in this doingness energy, the energy of constantly needing to do something at the third chakra. Being very driven for achievement. It's like this pushingness. I'm getting something about how he's kind of skinny and how that has to do with it. It's like he's not, he's just, like he's not like the Buddha type figure, you know. He's like, he's kind of skinny, and there's a little bit of like anxiety here to it all. Yeah, just a lot of this drive to be better, to prove himself, to become more than he is. It's like there's this sense of divineness that he's cultivated through his practice, and it's really through mostly the actions that he does. It's very ritualistic in that sense, in the sense that his power comes from his rituals, and it's like he wouldn't have power without his rituals, is what I'm getting. Like if he doesn't do things the way that he does things, it's like I'm getting that this comes from a higher source. So like it is, like a lot of people say that he has kind of, I guess you could say, channeled these, although I'm not really seeing it necessarily like he channeled it as much as he just had this inner knowing about what would work, and it looks like those rituals and those movements really do work. But there's something about him where he never really reached that level or he felt as powerful as his own movements that he's teaching within himself, and he was still seeking that while he sat on his throne in front of everyone. Let's see what else comes up here. I see him being kind of disgusted in his own lust for things, and there's like this self-punishment, like he's really like self-punishing, like he's almost beating himself up internally with his own thoughts about having these thoughts. That's just like kind of a violent mind, actually, is what's coming up. It's like he came up with a good system, but he had a violent mind. Let's see, why did the system not work for his mind? Why did it not heal him then? Let's see. I see him initially healing by praying, like when he was younger, doing mantras and all that, and it looks like that was healing him. And then he got the idea, I'm seeing it as like a devilish idea, to go to America and become a guru. I'm seeing that just really stunted his spiritual growth. Becoming a guru did. And he didn't feel good, like there was some part of him that was very unsatisfied. And he was kind of longing for more. And as he would sit within this energy that was just not satisfied and kind of grumpy, he would see these women doing yoga, and he was very fond of everyone. Like he was fond of his followers. It wasn't like he was trying to take advantage of people or anything like that. He was really fond of them, and it's very much so fourth chakra, heart chakra level stuff going on here. Everybody thinks that the fourth chakra is all like, well, if you're operating out of the fourth chakra, then everything should be good and lovey-dovey and whatnot, but the fourth chakra is about your heart, but your heart is also connected to other people. It's your affinity with other people. And so your heart can be very powerful and healing, but the saying follow your heart has some resonance to it, and I'm not against that at all. I think that's good advice, but there's a certain level to the heart that's kind of blind, that doesn't really see things for what they are, and can get kind of carried away with, like when you fall in love with the wrong person, for example. And so that's what I'm seeing here, is that he was very caught up within this energy of his own creation that was very uplifting and was really powerful, and I actually do see it changing him in ways. It's like it created, like this guru aspect created a stunt in his growth, but at the very same time, there's the energy of what he was doing with everyone else, the bonding together, was also very healing at the same time. Even though he was stunted in one aspect, he was healing in the other. And so that aspect was very, very positive for him. But because he was stunted in this other way, it, he just kind of gave in to. It's like he in his mind there are these bad things going on in his own mind that he would call bad. I wouldn't necessarily call them bad, just desires that he was having. And for him, that was like shameful, and it was like he wanted to be more like pure, like he was constantly trying to clear his head out, but because he was doing that, he was like in resistance to his own thoughts, and what you resist persists, and so it's like it just drove him crazy until like he just kind of it's funny, it's like he was almost following his own followers, if that makes any sense. Like the energy that they're emanating, he was kind of chasing after that, as ironic as that is. And because of that, it looks like, let's see, I'm trying to get to like the whole question of the sexual stuff going on here, and I just see him like being really fond and like really like kind of battle, like this internal battle with trying to be perfect, really. And perfect is like his idea of perfect, which I don't even agree with being ideally a good thing, being pure by his philosophy, by his standards. And it's almost like the hippie generation seems to have almost rubbed off on him a little bit and caused him to just be almost in question of his own ethics. It looks like he just kind of gave in a little bit to being what we would call creepy. So it looks like there's a little bit of that going on. Like I see him, touching women's backs and like kind of being creepy like that, but it's all like on a very fourth, like open heart sort of level. So from him, he wasn't really like trying to be like doing anything wrong. He just felt like he was like really kind of just following the energy that everyone else was giving out towards him, and he just kind of like gave into it, and he just like wanted more, and just kind of vibing off of it. And looks like he lost himself a little bit to that energy. And a lot of the Indian philosophy is all about opening your heart chakra, or a lot of New Age stuff, I should say, is about opening the heart chakra. But you don't want to work entirely out of just that. And it looks like he, despite talking so much about the third eye and whatnot, it looks like he wasn't really operating out of his third eye. It looks like he was operating out of his fourth chakra, not his sixth. Looks like there's a lot of knowingness, which is the seventh chakra, so you have a lot of seventh chakra abilities going on. But yeah, I'm just really getting that it was mostly the heart chakra that he was following, that he was using. So now I'm seeing a picture of him. He looks like an angel. Like he's wearing sandals, like flip-flops that are like made out of gold. It's like one of those like paintings of an angel. So what does this mean? He has a teapot made out of gold, and it's like there's all these women that are like all around him and loving him, and it's like he's on his back on the grass, like rolling around in ecstasy, basically. And it looks like there's a lot of joy here and companionship, and there's these women who just adore him. I see him pouring tea for himself and these women, and just very luxurious. It looks like he just kind of got used to the idea that everybody loves him, so he didn't feel like he was being creepy. As far as whether or not he actually did, like, sexually, I don't even know what the charges are, to be honest. I just heard that there was some sexual abuse. I have not looked into it, but I can look into it now. So I see him basically just like women being in ecstatic positions through the yoga meditation, and like almost kind of, it looks like they're asking for it, is what it looks like. I mean, asking for it, you know, but that's what it looks like. Like they're like they want him to approach them. And for some reason I'm seeing it's like their hands are tied up, but it's like they tied themselves up. It's not like he tied them up. It's like they tied their own wrists together and are like purposely like that. They're purposely making themselves very vulnerable. Of course, this is not like literal. This is a symbol to represent what was going on. And so it's like they purposely made themselves so vulnerable. And it's like most of the time he's just standing there, like thinking about, you know, thinking about what that would be like if you did something, but not doing anything. And I see him kind of like walking around to the side of people, but also very, very like authoritarian, like just really standing there, being like the guru, you know, not doing anything wrong. Most of the time, it seems like he's just being the guru. It looks like he would kind of sneak around people, go to their sides, and like kind of sneak up behind them, and like get a little bit in their space, and get very close with them. It looks like like the way you would approach a cat that's scared and runs away. You know, you kind of walk up really slow and hold your hand out. It's not like he's like jumping on anyone or anything like that. But it looks like there may have been some stuff going on here. It looks like very, like, starts out with kindness and caressing and caring, and looks like he got a little carried away with that. Looks like he got carried away in general with his life, with the whole group dynamic. He lost himself a little bit to the group. Maybe see. Maybe there's something else to see here. I don't know. I'm gonna ask a question about him. What should I ask? Maybe actually I'll ask a question regarding his teaching, not him, because you know you can still follow Kundalini Yoga. So we look at the energy of Kundalini Yoga itself. I'm seeing this as more of like a green, forest green kind of, more not so much the royal vibe that he was giving off. So I'm going to match to that energetically really quick and run that. So it looks like within that energy there's a lot of ecstatic states to be had, like feeling ecstatic, like ecstasy. Let's see, what is this? What do people get out of this? So it's mostly about feeling good, really. There's a lot of intention involved in Kundalini yoga, I know that. It looks like what it really does is it's like it almost creates a new identity. By creating a new identity, it allows you to feel comfortable. It's about being comfortable. Definitely has a lot to do with identity, like recreating yourself. Looks like that's very good. There's definitely like this community vibe to it as well. It's funny, I keep seeing women that are pregnant. It's like something about like female support, like women, very feminine bonding type of energy, or very much so like taking care of each other. Like it creates a community of people taking care of each other. Very heartfelt. It was very healing in that aspect. I'm gonna see like maybe what Kundalini yoga would not be good for. Interesting. I just see a man with a hammer, like a male. And it's not like overly masculine either. I'm just seeing this as like a worker, like a carpenter type of guy. And it looks like there's this sense of individuality where this person kind of connects with their spirit in a way where they're like hammering on a rooftop, singing songs to themselves, very optimistic. So yeah, people who are very optimistic when by themselves and self-driven, it seems like are the type of people who wouldn't get very much out of it necessarily, because they kind of already push themselves, I guess. Whereas Kundalini yoga is more, it's definitely come across as it's better for women. I mean, yeah, that's what's coming up. Not that men can't do it. I've done Kundalini yoga. I still will occasionally practice Kundalini yoga, but that's what's coming up, that it's great for the community. Something about pregnant women. Maybe it's good for pregnant women. Anyways, this has gone on forever. I'm going to go ahead and clear this reading out, clear out the energy. Okay. Cool. I hope that was as interesting for you as it was for me. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my Facebook page, my website. Thanks. And as I should say, like every YouTuber is these days, go ahead and hit that bell. The bell that makes you get notified when a new video comes out. I won't post too many videos, but I'll try and post maybe a video a month or so like that about reading, things like that. And if you have something that you think would be fun to look at clairvoyantly, post it or comment. Tell me what you want me to read. Thanks. Have a good day.